So if you got your Bibles, turn to Luke chapter 15. Luke chapter 15. That's a lot of water. So Luke chapter 15 is incredible story. It's actually 3 stories in one. But it's a story about these Pharisees and what Pharisees were back in the day. They were kind of like the religious leaders, so the pastors of today. That's who they were when Jesus came to earth. They were called Pharisees. And the one day Jesus was teaching and talking, and I'll read it here, but in Luke chapter 15, verse 1 to 3, it says, by this time, it should come up on the screen if you don't have a Bible, but by this time, a lot of men and women of doubtful reputation were hanging around Jesus, listening intently. The Pharisees and religion scholars were not pleased at all that Jesus was hanging with prostitutes. He was hanging with tax collectors. He was hanging with the sinners, the bad people. And they growled, grrr. Growl, that's so weird. Is that in there? It's in there, yeah. And they growled. It's not like they need demons cast out of them, but okay. He takes in sinners and eats meals with them, treating them like old friends. And their grumbling triggered this story. So Jesus got triggered, right? It triggered the story. See, what's happening here is Jesus came to earth and he started hanging out with people who you wouldn't see hanging around the religious institutions. So it was prostitutes, it was tax collectors, it was the sick, it was the lame, it was women. It was all these kind of people hanging around Jesus. And these religious leaders, these pastors, they couldn't take it. They couldn't handle it. They're like, why would you, the Son of God, God in the flesh, like this just doesn't make sense because of their religious mindset. So they build up, right? Why would you hang with these people? And not just hang with them, but Jesus ate food with them. How many of you guys like to eat food here? Yeah, I'm speaking to a room of young people. That's everyone here, right? I love to eat food. But the best thing about eating food is when you can eat it with other people, right? Like, it's not fun to eat alone. It's kind of creepy and boring. But Jesus would eat with these people. So what he's doing is he's not just hanging out with them. He's literally eating with them, which in those times, it meant he was identifying with them. And this freaked the pastors out in these times. They're like, this cannot be right. You cannot say you're the Son of God and you're going to come change the world and save the world, yet you want to hang with these people. It doesn't work like that. And I love what Jesus does. He in just such grace, he stands up and he begins to tell them a story. He tells them a parable. It's actually 3 stories in one. And you guys might have heard this before. Some of you might have gone to Sunday school, or you might have heard this. But he tells them a parable, 3 stories in one. One about a sheep, one about a woman, a coin, and one about a son. So you have a sheep, a coin, and a son, right? And I just want to touch on the son tonight. Nate's actually going to touch on the other 2. That was so cool. Like, we got together and like, hey, Nate, what are you talking about? And he's like, Luke chapter 15. And I was like, shut up. Are you serious? Yeah, it was so cool. Really cool. I don't know, so that's cool for me. Anyway, but the great thing about all these stories, if you read them, right, they all of them end, if you go and read them, they end with a home throwing a party. They all end with a home throwing a party. And I'll go through them quickly, but what is Jesus trying to say through these stories? That all of them would end up, every single one of them, he's trying to make a point. It's not just once that he says this, he says it again and again and again. So it's important. And they all end with a home having a party, and I think it's beautiful. Why does Jesus do this? Clearly Jesus he's trying to tell us, he's attempting to get across to us, he's desiring that we would know that he will bring human beings home. He is home. He is home. And he wants us to come home tonight. And we got the 3 stories. We have a man with a herd of 100 sheep. We have a woman who has a collection of 10 coins. And we have a father with 2 sons. I want to touch on the first story, run over it very quickly. The first story is this. It's a man who has 100 sheep. So he's a shepherd, he's got his 100 sheep, he knows all of them. This is Billy, this is Sally, this is Bobby, all of them. He knows them by name, right? And all of a sudden, at the end of his day, he calls all the sheep in and he starts to count them. It's Sally, Bobby John, all of them. Like, where's Freddie? Like, Freddie, 99, and he counts again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 99. That's not 100, that's 99. And I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't like the best at maths at school. I wasn't like those guys, and you go into exams, and we all know them, they're like, hey, this is going to be so hard, I haven't studied. I'm like, oh, this is going to be tough. And then they get their paper, and it's like 150,000%. Yeah, I'm like, what is that? You know? We all know those people, but that wasn't me, okay? I scraped through maths. I dropped a standard grade. I was like, this isn't me, I don't do numbers, right? But what I do know is that 99 is, it's like pretty much 100, right? It's pretty much there. 99 is, if you have 100 Rand and I have 99 Rand, I'm like, so what? I'm like, we pretty much got the same, right? Pretty much. It's so close. It's so close. Like, why would this man freak out over one sheep? I'm like, bro, you got 99 other sheep. Like, just lost it. Like, count the cost. Leave it. It's okay. But no, this guy goes out, leaves his other sheep behind, and he goes to find the one sheep, and he finds that dumb sheep who went off all by himself, picks him up over his shoulder, brings him back home. And he doesn't just bring him back home, he throws a party. He tells all his friends, he puts it on Facebook, on Snapchat, on Instagram, on every other thousands of social media platforms that we have nowadays. He puts it all out there. He says, come, celebrate, have a party. My one sheep was missing, and he came back. The second story is this. It's a woman who has 10 coins. And she's got a little collection of 10 coins. She counts them at the end of the evening. And again, same thing. She gets to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's only 9. 9 coins. And you guys got to know this, that coin, if you do your studies, it was only worth about a day's wage. Right? So it wasn't actually worth it's not a Bitcoin, right? It's not. This coin didn't have that much value. It was just a coin, okay? And again, this woman, literally, actually the language that Jesus uses is that she literally tore a house apart. She ripped it apart to find this one coin. And again, I'm like, why? Why would you do that? You could literally take that same amount of energy and work a day and earn that coin back, right? But she does it. She rips her home apart to find that one coin. And then again, what she does is she calls all her friends, tells the neighborhood, and say, come celebrate, I found my coin, and spends a party that's worth 9 coins to celebrate the one. It's just a crazy story. But the third story is this. The third story is about a man and his 2 sons. More specifically, one son. And I'm just going to read it to you very quickly. It goes like this. I think it might come up on the screen if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully it will. Luke chapter 15, verse 11 to 24, it says, and he said, that's Jesus, he said, a man had 2 sons. Say 2 sons.
2 sons.
The younger of them said to the father, Father, give me the share of the estate that falls to me. So he divided his wealth between them. And not many days later, the younger son gathered everything together and went on a journey into the distant country. And there he squandered his estate on loose living. Now, when he had spent everything, a severe famine occurred in that country, and he began to be impoverished. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed pigs. And he would have gladly filled his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one was giving him anything. But when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired men have more than enough bread, and here I am dying with hunger? I will get up, I will go to my father, and I'll say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired men. So he got up and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him, and he felt compassion for him. And he ran, and he embraced him, and he kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves, quickly, bring out the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet, and bring the fatted calf and kill it. Dead. And let us eat and celebrate. For the son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and has been found. And they began to party. So what's happening in the story, if you didn't catch it, is we got a son that says to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. Give me my inheritance. And what you got to know in those days is the son was basically saying to his father, in other words, Father, give me my inheritance, you're dead to me, pretty much. And I don't know about you, there hopefully aren't too many fathers in this room because it's a youth conference, but I'm a father, right? I got 2 little kids. I got a beautiful little girl. She's just about to turn 2. And I mean, this would break me, right? Like, sometimes I see my little girl, her name's Aria. She's just running around the house, and I just see her, and I'm like, man, I just need to cuddle this girl. She's just so cute, so dang cute. So I go over to her, and I get down to her level, and I'm like, hey, baby, come here. And she comes to me. I'm like, hello, baby girl. And she's like, hello, daddy, because she can say that. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, man. And I say, can daddy get a cuddle? And then she just looks at me with these beautiful bluey brown eyes and this cute face. She says, no, and runs away. I'm standing there. I'm like, okay, I'll be fine. And I go cry in a room for 2 hours. No, don't do that. But that would absolutely kill me. Like, if my daughter or my son had to say that to me, I'm like, that would absolutely destroy me. Absolutely. And this guy, what's worse is he gets out of there. He takes all his money, he says, Dad, you're dead to me, and he runs off. He takes the first flight, he goes to Vegas, and he starts to spend recklessly. He parties it up, he does drugs, he does everything in Vegas. He sees a Celine Dion concert, he does all of it. He's like, while I'm here, I'm going to do it, right? Who doesn't want to see Celine Dion in concert, all right? And he does it. He runs off. Lives this wild life of partying and living it up, and it's great. And all of a sudden, he's partying, and he checks his bank account, and it's a little bit less than it was yesterday. He's like, no, it's cool, I can still party. Invites everyone over, has a massive jaw. Next day, he checks his bank account, it's getting less and less and less, till eventually, this guy who had this massive inheritance, thought he could do it all by himself, has nothing, absolutely nothing. He's flat broke. He tries to borrow money. He's got no friends. He's sleeping on the streets. And one day it hits him, and he's like, I need to get out of this. I need to get a job. And he finds the only job that he could find for someone in his state, a homeless, drunkard, drug addict. And he finds a job feeding pigs. That's not a fun job, right? And he's feeding these pigs one day, and he's just doing his job, and hunger is just eating away at his stomach. It's like he sees that overripe banana sitting in the trough. And he's like, dang, that overripe banana looks delicious. I could totally, whoa, what? An overripe banana? No. Like, what am I doing? And he comes to his senses. Where am I? And he looks down at the mud and the dirty pigs and the sounds and the smells, and it hits him. It's like, I used to live the best life. I had everything. My father gave me everything. He gave me everything that I needed. It was all set before me. And I'm here in this place. Some of you might relate to this right now. You might be in this place tonight. And I want to tell you that the Father wants to call you home. He wants to call you home. Some of you, He might want to call you back home. Some of you are in that place with God, and you might be here. He wants to call you back, because that's His heart, and you're going to see His beautiful heart in the next few minutes. And He decides in that moment, He's like, I need to firstly get out of this trough because it stinks, so He gets out. And He says, I need to go back to my Father. I need to go back. I need to tell Him I'm sorry. This is going to be so tough, but I need to do it. And he sits down at his table, he gets out his pen and his paper, and he starts writing a message. He's like, hey, Dad. Oh, no, that's crumples it up. That's too stupid. Like, hey, Dad. Oh, no, let's try again. Dearest Father. No, okay, that's even weirder. Daddy? No. Pops? Father, I've sinned against God and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your paid servants. He puts his pen back in his pocket, folds the paper up, sticks that in his pocket too. And he takes a long journey. He's got no more car, he's got to go on foot. Takes a long journey all the way back to his father's house. What the Bible says that in this moment, and what the son doesn't know, is that on the other side of the journey, the father has been coming out, standing on the hill and waiting every single day for the son to come back. And it hasn't happened any of those days, but the Father doesn't give up. He never, ever gives up. And you got to know that tonight. If you're sitting here tonight, you got to know that the Father is never giving up on you. You might have given up on Him, but He's never giving up on you, right? And He stands there, and what the Bible says is that before the Son could even see His Father, the Father sees Him. And what the Father does is He takes off running. And you guys got to understand this. And it's so simple. I mean, it's like running. Okay, running, right? Like, I would do the same thing if I was a dad and I saw my kid come back after years, right? I would run, right? But what you guys got to catch is in those days, in those times, Middle Eastern men didn't run. It wasn't a part of their culture. They didn't do it. So what we have is a father, he sees a son that he loves. And something happens inside of him, and he says, I don't care what I look like right now. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what the world says. I do not care. All I care about now is my son that I'm seeing. And he lifts up his robe, and he shows off his legs to the whole town. And the town is like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I've never seen this in my life. Who is this crazy person? And there's a beautiful picture of the cross. And this man runs to his son, which was totally taboo at the time. Beautiful picture of the cross. As Jesus would come to earth, He would look like an idiot. He would be beaten. He'd be mocked. He'd be scorned. He'd be put on a cross, blood dripping from His head, a crown of thorns put on Him, this robe also put on Him, and hung naked on a cross for you, made to look like an idiot. But He says, I'm just like that, Father. I am going to go out of my way. When I see my son, when I see my daughter, I'm going to do anything it takes to get to them. Anything. I will look like anything. The people can say anything they want about me. I don't care. I need my kids back. I got to have my kids back. This is the Father's love. This is the love that Jesus has for us. It is beautiful. And I can picture Jesus saying, when He says that, He's telling the story and He's saying, the Father ran. You can see the Pharisees and everyone else going, oh, He ran? He ran. Like, no. Who would do this? Who would run? Like, who would do this? Especially for this wretched, like, messed up, sinful son. Like, for that? He would do it for that. What is this love? What is this passion? What is it? It's a picture of God's grace. And as it happens, the father runs to the son, he embraces him, he kisses him, and the son drops to his knees and he starts to blurt out his speech. He takes it out of his pocket and he's like, Father, I've sinned. And the father just says, stop. Get up. You over there, you, my servant, come here. Put a ring on his finger, put a robe across him, put shoes on his feet, sandals on his feet. And I love the immediacy of it. And this is what we've got to catch tonight. It's like the son is about to like pour out all of his, I'm so sorry that I've done this, all the bad stuff that I've done. And the father says, stop. And I don't know where you are tonight, but you don't need to grovel before the Father tonight. You don't need to come before Him and say, you don't need to come in a posture like that. As soon as you do, the Father says, stop. Come up. Come to me. And what He does is He puts a ring on your finger, gives you a robe, and He puts sandals on your feet. And those are three very important things that you need to know about. And why this is so important is to us, it means nothing. I got a ring, but I don't have any of the others at the moment. But they're very important because in those times, this is what the Father was saying. Firstly, just trying to get the order. First one, He puts a robe over him. And a robe in those days, it represented acceptance, it represented sonship. So what the Father was saying, it's like, stop, stand up, I don't care what you've done, I don't need to hear it. Take this robe, you are now son again. And then what He does is He calls over somebody else and He says, take this ring. And what the ring signifies authority. And he puts a ring on his finger. And in those days, kings would wear rings, and people in positions of authority, they would wear rings. Today, we associate it with marriage, but in those days, it meant authority. And this is a beautiful picture. In Genesis, Pharaoh, actually, it says that Pharaoh gave Joseph his ring, and once he had the ring, the whole kingdom belonged to Joseph. So there was power inside of the ring that was given to Joseph. What happens is when you come to God, he puts a ring on your finger, and he says, all authority has been given to you. Everything has been given to you. Take it. And then lastly, this is the most beautiful one. I mean, the son took a many days journey walk. I don't think he had any shoes on his feet. He obviously didn't, because he was given new shoes. But I can picture his feet dirty, like crusted, like gross, like toe jam. And like, it's just gross, right? Nasty. And the father says, stand up. Put these sandals on your feet. And what you got to know in those times is that only slaves and servants didn't wear shoes. Sons and daughters got to wear shoes, got to wear sandals. So what he was saying is, in this moment, I don't see you as a slave. I don't see you as a servant. I don't care what you've done. I don't care where you've been. I don't care about any of that stuff. Take these shoes, my boy. You're my son. I remember sharing this talk at a youth camp I did like years ago. And this one girl, I just love the story. This one girl was in worship, and she was like, God, speak to me. And God gave her a picture of sandals. She was like, okay, cool, that's pretty weird, thank you. Like, yeah. And she carried on, and what happens is I got to that part where I spoke about the sandals and being a son and a daughter, and I just heard this teenage girl just started bawl her eyes out, like ugly cry. I was like, okay, this is getting really awkward. I'm trying to preach here, can you respect? It was super awkward, right? She came to tell me afterwards. I was like, that is a beautiful, beautiful picture of God's grace and God's love. And you guys got to know tonight, I don't know where you are in the journey. I have no idea where you are. You might be in the pig trough. You might be making your way back to the Father. You might have told the Father, screw you, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm out. I don't know where you are on that journey. But what I do know is that there's a loving Father in heaven who has not stopped thinking about you from the day he created you. Even before he created you, he was thinking about you. And he is waiting. But better than that, he's not just waiting, because when he sees you and your heart turned to him, he runs. And he comes to you, and he covers you, and he puts a robe upon you, a ring upon you, and sandals. And he says, this is who you are. You are my son. You are my daughter. I love you so, so much. I've given everything for you, absolutely everything. Won't you come back? Come back, and let's party. Yeah. And I love that the story ends with a party. Because I think we're way too serious in the church. We're going to have way more fun. But right at the end, the Father pulls the Son in, and he brings him into a party. Because I fully believe the atmosphere of heaven is a party. Yeah. It is a party. Like when one person gets saved, the angels go absolutely mental. With the craziest party we've ever seen. And he brings them into the party, and he sits them down and says, everybody, look, my son has come back. And Jesus is saying to the Pharisees in this moment, he's saying to them, do you want to know why I hang out with these people? Do you want to know why they're so attracted to me? It's because I'm not like you think I am, right? I'm not like who you think I am. I love like the shepherd with the sheep. I love like the woman. I go crazy like the woman for the coin, and I welcome the wayward son in. This is who I am. I love illogically. I spend recklessly. Why? Because I want to reach people. This is who I am. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, that man shouldn't have gone out for the one sheep. It makes no sense. The woman should have just left the one coin. Like, just leave it. You got 9 other ones. And a father should never welcome a wayward son like that who said, I wish you were dead. It's crazy. But this is how I love. This is how I love. With this radical, reckless, crazy, passionate love. for you. Why don't you just close your eyes where you're sitting? I want to pray for us.